Alright, Player One Gaming here. I realize I haven't made a video in a while, but it's because I've been slacking, and I've got no reason to make a video till like September, August, September comes when football season starts back up. I could talk about AAF. Uh, I guess I should start doing that, but I guess it's a little too late for that season. Already started. But uh, today I want to talk about this because, well, not really. Yeah, talk about it because this is something I wanted to do, and this took forever, so I might as well. So I went back and I looked for. If you can hear my dog in the background, of course she has to start barking when I start recording, so ignore her. But I've typed down, I've did Google searches, I've done all my studying, and I've gotten every national champion since 1900. Now, you'll realize that there are multiple teams winning in some of the really early years. It does go back even further than 1900, and I might do a video on that if this gets more views than I think it's going to, because I don't think anybody's going to watch this, but I wanted to make it. You'll notice that a lot of them are a lot of these teams, there's multiple winners for 1 year. That starts to slow down as we get in like the 1970s or like mid 1970s, 1975 and on. That slows down significantly. So, well, let's go over it. I couldn't hide it all from you guys. So, you can see 1900 through 1905. Now, I had no idea about any of this. I knew Yale. Now, Yale was the 1900 national champs. And then, I knew Michigan was great in 1901. I know they went undefeated. They shut out every team they played. So I knew that they would be in that spot. I didn't expect them to be there in 02, 03, and 04, but they are. Michigan is in 01, 02, 03, and 04, and 01 they share it with Yale and Harvard. In 1902, they share it with Yale. In 1903, they share it with Princeton. In 1904, they share it with Minnesota and Penn, the Penn Quakers. 1905 is Chicago and Yale. So Yale was in 4 of the first 5. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're in 4 of the last, or the first 6. 4 of the first 6, okay? So that's a very good record. And so is Michigan. They're in 4 of the first 6 as well. In 06, oh boy. In 06, we had Princeton and Yale. Really not any different. Princeton has already have one. Yale's been in here forever. Yale as 907, 1907. 08 is Penn Quaker. I put Quacker. But the Penn Quakers, I don't know why I spelled it like that. I don't think that's right. 09, Yale. Shocker. They're in here like for a lot of the early stuff. They're not in anything later on, because they're nobodies now in football. They have been for a long time. Harvard, another nobody in football. Harvard. Pittsburgh shared it in 1910 with Harvard. 11 was Princeton. 12 was Harvard. 13, we had Auburn, somebody new. Chicago and Harvard. 1914, we had Army, Illinois, and Texas. A couple new teams there. Well, 3 new teams, actually. They're all new. Cornell, Oklahoma, and Pittsburgh in 15. Army again, and Pittsburgh again. Sorry for the interruption. We got Army and Pittsburgh in 16. Winning it again. Georgia Tech, somebody new. They won it by themselves in 1917. In 1918, Michigan returns, and Pittsburgh does as well. So there we go. We got a lot here. 1919 is Center, Harvard, Illinois, Notre Dame, and Texas A&M. I don't know why why can't they decide on one team? Why does there have to be like 6 teams? This is 5, but it gets to the point where it's even more than 5 teams. California, Georgia, Harvard, Notre Dame, Princeton, California, Cornell, Iowa, Lafayette, Washington. This is funny. 1921, we see 1921, we see California, Cornell, Iowa, Lafayette, the Washington and Jefferson presidents. So apparently, two of our presidents have won the national championship in 1921. And Vanderbilt. Just adding Vanderbilt in the end, because why the heck not? 1922, man, oh man, we got a lot here. California, Cornell, Iowa, Princeton, Vanderbilt. 1923, Illinois, Michigan, two Big Ten teams there. Notre Dame and Penn in 24. Alabama wins their first, and Dartmouth, who I've never heard of, in 1925. Alabama, Stanford, Lafayette in 26. Illinois, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Yale. Yale makes another return many years later in 27. 1928, Georgia Tech makes a return. USC, first-time champs. 29, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh again. Both teams have won it already. Notre Dame and Alabama. They met several, like 80 years later or whatever, in the national championship. USC and Pittsburgh in 31. USC wins again. Pittsburgh is just in there. Michigan and USC, two returners again. Michigan and Princeton. Michigan's in there again. Alabama, Minnesota. We got Minnesota in there again. They were in there early. Minnesota again. Southern Methodist and Princeton. Princeton's just always in there. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is everywhere. Minnesota and Pittsburgh again. Pittsburgh. TCU and Tennessee. In 38. 39 is Texas A&M and USC. Two returners. 1940, Minnesota, Boston College, Tennessee, Stanford. 41, Minnesota, Ohio State, and Georgia. Ohio State wins their first in the 42. And so does Georgia. 43 was Notre Dame. 44, we see Army. And I say World War II because they were, they won the national championship, even though it was like World War II, but Notre Dame was number one. I don't know how that works, but Army won the national championship and Notre Dame was ranked number one, so I put them both in there. Army won to 45. 46 was Notre Dame and Army. They shared it. So you see that a lot in the 1940s. You see a lot of Notre Dame and Army. 47, it's Notre Dame and Michigan sharing it. And Michigan wins in 48. Notre Dame wins in 49. Oklahoma wins their first in 1950. 51 comes around, and we have Tennessee, Maryland, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, and Illinois. We got three Big Ten teams in there. Maryland, Michigan State, and Illinois. Michigan State and Georgia Tech. Michigan State actually won their first in 51, and Michigan State continued that a year later in 52, sharing it with Georgia Tech. Maryland wins in 53 by themselves. Ohio State wins second, and UCLA wins their first in 54. 55, Oklahoma wins their second one, and Howard wins their first. Oklahoma again, Auburn, and Ohio State, two returners in 57. 58 is LSU, who was their first one, in Iowa, who was a returner. Syracuse, who was called the Orange Men in 59. They're now called just the Syracuse Orange. Minnesota and Ole Miss in 1960. Alabama and Ohio State, two teams I despise, in 61. USC wins again in 62. Texas in 63. 64, we see Alabama, Arkansas, and Notre Dame. I think that was Arkansas's first and probably last. Alabama and Michigan State, two teams I despise. In 65. Notre Dame and Michigan State, two teams I despise. In 66. USC wins again in 67. How interesting. Ohio State, great. Texas in 69. Nebraska, Texas, Ohio State in 1970. 1971, we see Nebraska win it by themselves. USC again in 72. I swear they probably won most of them. Notre Dame and Alabama, or at least to this point. Notre Dame and Alabama in 73. Oklahoma and USC. 75. This is when we get to the point where we only have one team. It's 1975. We had Oklahoma, Pittsburgh in 76, Notre Dame in 77, Alabama in 78. 79 is Alabama again for the second year in a row. Georgia wins in 80. 81 is Clemson. That's their first one. Penn State wins in 82. Miami wins in 83. BYU in 84. Oklahoma wins again in 85. Penn State wins again in 86. 87 is Miami again. Notre Dame wins in 88. Miami in 89. So they were on 2 times in 3 years. Miami. Colorado wins their first and only national championship in 1990. Miami again in 91. 92 is Alabama. Florida State in 93. I think they won again like the later 2000s, 2010s. Florida State in 93. Nebraska in 94. Nebraska in 95. Florida in 96. Michigan in 97. 98 was Tennessee. Florida State in 99. Now we're in 2000s. Oklahoma won in 2000. Miami, Florida, who I think that was their first one, won in 01. 02 is Ohio State. 03 USC again. 04 is USC once again. That's the second year in a row. Texas wins in 05. Florida in 06. 07 is LSU. In 08 it was Florida. 09 Alabama, and that's when we start to see the Alabama. 09 is when we start to see the Alabama powerhouse we know to this day. Auburn in 2010, Alabama in 2011, 2012 Alabama, 2013 Florida State. That's their last time they've ever won it. Ohio State in 2014. It was the year Michigan went 5-7. Horrible year. Alabama in 2015, Clemson 2016, Alabama 2017, and Clemson 2018. So you see, we got Bama in 2015, Clemson in 2016, Bama in 2017, Clemson in 2018. So that'll probably mean that in 2019 we'll see Alabama, so we can continue this pattern for the next 50 to 100 years. And everyone will stop watching college football, and because their team never wins, it'll be like the NFL. People will just stop watching it because one team wins every year. So, yeah, that's not gonna happen, I hope. But yeah, that took a long time to make, and I'm not even sure if this is worth making into a video. You guys could have literally did this yourself. It would have taken a while, but like, you didn't need a video for it. But here it is anyway, because I felt like I wanted to make it. So if you watch this, I'll go back even further than 1900, so you guys don't have to. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.